majority of women do not want to be linked to partners who will hit them or be mean to them, there is still that small percentage of women who actually prefer those traits in a man. And those are the people I'm referring to in this video. Now, I'm not just going to leave you hanging. Of course, I will bring out stuff to buttress the point I'm trying to make. Okay, but before I go into what we're talking about today, do remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and keep watching, because that's how the channel grows. And by the way, thank you to all my 3,550 subscribers. I don't take you for granted. Thank you for keeping this channel alive. So, the kinds of ladies I'm referring to will regularly seek out men who are like that. And you find the two in that relationship constantly having incredibly bad blow-ups that appear as if the relationship is on the verge of packing up. Then barely a few weeks later, you see them together again. Now, an American social media influencer, Ari Fletcher, who happens to be doing very well in her career, has found herself on the receiving end of a backlash for glamorizing such relationships. That is, relationships that are essentially toxic, where the man is doing the most and all of that. She said it would make her feel good if a man pulled a weapon on her and forced her to stay with him if she threatens to leave. Here is the video clip.
Because I used to pack my shit up. Like, bitch, I'm leaving. Fuck you. Da-da.
That's
Fake
me.
booking the flight. Really never booked the flight. Fake booking the flight. Like, calling my manager. Like, yeah, bitch, book me a flight home. Fuck this nigga. Da-da. You know, calling my mama. Throwing shit, breaking shit, fighting. And then, like, now you got to stop me from leaving. But I was never going nowhere.
Oh, yep, you the toxic
Like,
one.
pull your gun out and show me, like, bitch, leave. I wish you would walk out the door.
Right.
Like, I'm not.
She from the Shy. She from the Shy. She's from Chicago.
You
folks.
already put your gun out. I'm finna just sit down because I got a son. I'm not trying to die. I got a son. So I'm only staying because I got a son. I don't want you to shoot me.
Of course, she has received a lot of flack, and Rihanna has actually dropped the lady from some work she was doing for Rihanna. Rihanna has not explained why she dropped Ari, but many have made a connection between Riri's actions and the now infamous podcast. We might recall that Rihanna was on the receiving end of a bashing by her former boyfriend, Chris Brown, that was so bad that it led to a court case that nearly took down Chris's music career. So it is safe to assume Riri was not about to collaborate with a woman who would glamorize such conduct in any way. And I completely support her. We need to shut that down wherever it rises up. Now, Ari's handlers are putting messages online to clean up the mess. Most articles I have seen regarding the matter say that Ari was joking. Listen, I have watched the clip, and now you have too. Did she come off as somebody who was joking? For my part, I really do not believe she was just joking, and let me explain why. For one thing, she has expressed that same sentiment again on a different forum. For another, there was no point in these interviews where she expressly stated that she was joking. And even if she was, there are some things that you just don't joke about. Another reason I do not believe she was joking is that she described herself on that podcast as toxic and childish. She mentioned how her man was always chiding her and demanding she grow up. Then again, I believe she was just speaking her mind. Because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are actually women who enjoy that kind of thing in relationships. They really enjoy it. In fact, on more than one occasion, I have heard women say that nothing beats make-up intimacy. That is intimacy that comes after a major fight or a major blowout and so on. So there's this group of women, they're small, but there's this percentage of women who believe that all of that drama and the nonsense and the fighting and all of that is the fuel that keeps the flame of their passion and love growing. These women are out there. Any mature person who is watching this content knows what I'm talking about. They exist. In fact, I personally believe that women like that could be women who are into the BDSM lifestyle, even if they don't know that that is what it's called, because they found a way of linking pain with pleasure, and a sense of well-being and making them feel good. So there could be an entire batch of women out there who do not know that what they're actually longing for is a BDSM kind of relationship where the person they're involved with subdues and subjugates them, even physically. So there's that to keep in mind. When you leave those ones, there's another group of women who see a man's using his hands on them as a show of manliness, as an exertion of authority. You see, culturally, and I'll speak strictly for Nigeria, beating is allowed. Hitting a woman or somebody under you is allowed. Parents are allowed to strike their children. Husbands are allowed to chastise their wives and children. Your older siblings are allowed to spank you or administer physical discipline in one way or another, and so on and so forth. So we already have that cultural construct going on. And there are women who do not know that the way a parent will chastise you with maybe spankings and so on and so forth, ordinarily is not something that should play out in your relationship or in your marriage. One, your partner is not your parent. And ordinarily, the fact that you share intimacy means that this is an entirely different relationship from what you had with your parents. So the construct for a romantic relationship should be different, naturally, from that of parent-child. And particularly if you're close in age, if you're peers. What on earth would you do that your partner could not sit down with you, you have a talk and sort it all out, peacefully, amicably, for the greater good of the family or of the relationship itself? But there is a group of women with the erroneous impression that the man they're married to, the man they're in a relationship with, has a right to strike them. These ones are not necessarily enjoying it. They just have a very fatalistic attitude to it. Like, what can I do? That's how it's meant to be. So that's another group. These ones are different from the ones who think that the man is just expressing his manliness. Then they are different from the ones who actually enjoy all of that. So I've mentioned at least 3 groups of women who justify being struck for different reasons. Then let's not forget the ones who equate being struck with a sign, they see it as a sign of love and genuine commitment. These are the ones, again, who I feel have it muddled up with the parent-child relationship. Because sometimes when you're raising your children, especially when they're really small, sometimes you have to spank them to get the message across. And in many instances, after that has been done, if the parent is not just somebody who is unnecessarily brutal, what happens is subsequently that parent will have a conversation with the child to explain why the beating was administered or why the spanking was administered and what it was aimed at correcting, and proceed to make that whole speech about how it pains them more than the child and so on and so forth. And they bring that same mentality into their relationship. What I have done is wrong. I deserve to be chastised. I deserve to be corrected. and it is the man's place to do this. So there are women who also have that mentality aside. And in fact, they've been so successfully brainwashed into that belief that they try to convince other women and carry other women along in that line of thinking. So you'll have such a lady telling you things like, you mean your man has never ever, now wow, are you sure he loves you? These are real conversations. And there is nothing you'll say to a woman who has that mindset that will liberate her from it. She might nod her head and agree with you, but in her mind she's saying, she's feeling sorry for yourself. You're with a man who is cold. He doesn't have feelings for you. You've never been able to rouse his passion enough for him to chastise you and correct you and put you on the right path. As if you're a puppy or a child. So there are other women who have that mindset also. So you see, these kinds of messaging manage to get out and create the impression that women who say they are not like that are actually lying or pretending. For my part, I have very little patience or sympathy for ladies who play these games. For those that were just brainwashed, well, I kind of understand when a certain kind of message has been pumped into you from childhood, it is very difficult to grow up and grow out of it. But for those who are just playing games, catching their fun and just generally being obnoxious, I don't have any sympathy for it. And let me explain why. Not only do they confuse men with their mixed messaging, they cause women who do not like such conduct to be met with scorn, derision, and disbelief. In fact, it is partly because of this kind of talk, behavior, and messaging that victims of forced intimacy have difficulty actually making a case for themselves. I know it takes all sorts to make the world go round, but I wish women who enjoy such conduct go out of their way to look for men who are also given to that kind of behavior so that they can be a match, and be doing their thing over there, while other women can relax and enjoy the partner that they are with, knowing fully that they are being treated with kindness. Kindness and weakness are not the same thing. They're not the same. And for my part, if a man really wants to show me how manly he is, I don't expect that he'll use his fists on me. What I expect is that if anybody else is out there trying to try any nonsense with me, he'll put them in their place. That's where his manliness comes to play. For my part, I do not expect to be physically chastised when I do something wrong. I expect that my husband will try to find out what went wrong, ask me, engage me in a conversation, then help me to understand how I am wrong, in case I didn't know I was wrong, why what I did offended him, and we'll come to a place where I can apologize and own what I did wrong and take mental notes not to do it again. Because if you care about your partner, that's what you do. When they draw your attention to the fact that you've hurt their feelings, you take steps to redress what you did wrong. You take steps to improve yourself going forward. You take steps to avoid repeating that conduct or that behavior again going forward. That's what I know of mature relationships. So you'll find that these women are referred to in their different categories. If they're in a relationship with a man who is not fulfilling that need, they will go around the place calling the person a wimp, a weakling, tell people he doesn't love them, and so on and so forth. And the man will be at a complete loss, scratching his head, but I've done this for her. I do this regularly. She said she wanted this and I did it. But then the woman is unable to express to the man that, listen, this is how my mind is working. This is what I think. And then, of course, there are men who have found themselves in that situation where the woman was able to verbalize that that's her mindset, and they were so uncomfortable with it that they walked away. So for any men out there who might be watching this video and wondering, oh, okay, so that's what it is. What do I do if I find myself in this position? Listen, I would say that we're living in different times now, and it's very important for everybody to get with the program. So I think it's time for women to stop playing unnecessary emotional games. If you like a man and he's asking you out, say yes. You can be a little coy and all of that, but don't leave him in any doubt that you actually like him and you want him in your space. Same thing with intimacy. This goes to the men. Yes, there are women out there giving mixed messaging, and there are some of them who enjoy that kind of thing. Some of them enjoy being rough-handled and so on. I would say err on the side of caution. If she has given you any hint at all that she does not want, either verbally or physically, she's struggling, let it be. Let it be. Do not say that Angela likes being forced, Mary likes being forced, therefore every woman likes being forced. That's where you're going to have problems. If she likes being forced, let her find a way to let you know. So if it's something you're comfortable with, then hey, be my guest. You guys can do your thing. And if it is not something you believe in or want to be a part of, then you leave. Yeah? So I don't think that men should now use, women give mixed messaging as an excuse to get silly and start doing all kinds of weird, random things. That's not the point. My message to men would be, if she said no, take it as a no, especially behind closed doors. But if it's with regard to getting the woman into a relationship, sometimes when a woman says no, she really isn't feeling you in that moment. But with a bit of perseverance, she begins to see sides of you that she hadn't seen at first, and she eventually relents. So it's not even every time a woman says no that she's necessarily playing hard to get. Some genuinely mean no. In fact, many mean no. But if you really like the lady and you persist, some ladies will eventually relent because they'll start seeing a side of you that they hadn't seen initially, but that eventually appeals to them. Okay, so that's different. What I'm referring to is particularly behind closed doors. Let there be don't allow any mixed messaging gray area thing to come. If you are in doubt, just straight up ask. Like, hey, are you down with this? If you're uncomfortable, it's okay. We can, let it go. Okay? So, I hope you gained something from what I talked about today. Continue to watch, like, share, subscribe, and I'll be with you again on another talk in a few days.